My name is MiMi. I am a mother of one. I absolutely adore and love my son. He is everything to me. We've been trucking through this for the past 18 years together, just him and I. So yes, I'm a single mom. I am a career administrative assistant who has now transitioned into the project management world. And so when you think of me, think of advocacy, positivity, a mom. And I'm also a wrestling fan. My son was a wrestling fan when he was little. Usually at the age of 13, the kids start teetering off of wrestling, and I had stopped watching wrestling for a while. So during that, not really the Attitude Era, because I think that's when he was born, and I started watching Monday Night Raw every time I put him to bed. However, when he got a little bit older, he started watching wrestling. John Cena was his absolute favorite, and we started watching Raw together. He then went away to camp one summer for 4 weeks. We would write letters to each other, and I would write him every single week. I would write him on Mondays what happened, then I would write him on Thursdays what happened after SmackDown on Thursdays. That's when it used to air. And I would mail it off, and I would keep him abreast. But when he came back, he was so into sports. He was playing lacrosse. He was playing football. He was playing baseball. He was playing every single sport that he was wrestling. He was playing all these sports. He wasn't interested anymore. He just wanted to play sports. So I was left with myself. So now I'm this mom, boy wrestling fan. So that's Mimi. There's an aspect of this whole wrestling space that people think that, somebody in the industry used this word. They said, a prominent person too, they said wrestling fans are pedestrian. We get a bad rap because of the type of people they think watch wrestling. And for me, my goal is always to change the narrative of what people think is, right? It's like, oh, wrestling fans are fat and they live in the basement of their mom's house and blah, blah, blah. While that may or may not be true, no, there are wrestling fans that have whole careers. There are wrestling fans that are VPs. There are wrestling fans that basically have whole businesses, you know what I mean? And will tap out and just watch this and buy a sweatshirt or a t-shirt and wear it under a blazer or a suit, you know what I mean? And so I just think that the narrative of what the wrestling fan looks like has changed drastically, you know? It used to be an all-white type within the fan audience. It's not. You know, we have tons of black folks, brown folks, you know, loving to watch this and being super successful commentating and having successful podcasts and just being in that space, like executives, just being in that space is completely different, and it's not the same anymore. It's not the boys club, and people need to understand that. And I personally feel like people need to act that way as well. Like help change that narrative by, you know, speaking in full sentences and not just looking at it on a fandom basis, but more holistically on a business basis. Sometimes bookings don't make sense, but take a step back away from the fact that you love this person and just be like, you know what, maybe there's a reason this is happening. So let me finish. Let me wait and see.
You said it in the beginning when you were introducing yourself, what you bring to the table, some of the things, you know, a senior executive assistant, a senior project manager, a community advocate, the things, and most importantly, a mother. The things that matter in your life and what your purpose is in life center around thinking on a broader scale than just what's in front of you. You're trying to understand and make sense of and improve upon the meaning behind things and why is it happening this way and how can we make it better and how can that impact various populations long term. So we often get into that level of discussion, including when we're talking about pro wrestling. And I find that so refreshing because a lot of people, they can't keep up, or whether they just don't realize that pro wrestling can apply to other aspects of life, and it's all in there if you allow yourself to see it. We've noticed in the past 5 years, there have been more women in the main event. There have been more people of color who have been the world champion in the WWE. That goes for the men and the women. And they're continuing to post record profits. Now, we look at AEW, and you know, in fairness, they've only been around for 3 years now. But in that time, they still haven't been able to turn a profit. And they literally are presenting the least amount of women's wrestling on a week-to-week basis on television and pay-per-view. And they're literally presenting the least amount of equitable diversity at the top of their cards. Do you think that's a coincidence, or do you think that there's something to when you display more equitable diversity? And certainly WWE is far from perfect, but when you display it more, you put yourself in a position to make more money, as opposed to when you're lacking completely in that area.
Yes.
Do you think the money correlates with the presentation?
I think the money to some degree does correlate to the presentation, because once you show presentation, people are likely to invest in you. So people are likely to, you know, if they don't have TV, to pay for that other subscription to watch your pay-per-view, or buy the merch, or whatever, because they kind of feel like, okay, this seems a little bit more inclusive than that other thing. I personally feel like it's all about fan base as well. It's all about it's all about the type of people that you are trying to market to. I feel like AEW is not trying to market to the WWE audience. If they were trying to do that, which I think people would probably say that they are, if they were trying to do that, they would assimilate. They would acclimate, is probably the word I want to use. They would acclimate to the environment. They would make sure that they're hitting all the notes, and genuinely hitting all the notes, because I don't understand why they have somebody of color who claims to be a chief brand officer, but is not really seeing this. Like, what's on TV is not being shown in what they're saying. Like, the words don't seem to match the action. And so for me, I kind of feel like, and just putting her on Dark to wrestle on Dark, it doesn't mean anything. I think they don't have quality people in their executive suites to see things for what they are, to have that eye to say, you know what, you probably shouldn't say that. This is how we need to probably pivot. We need to come up with a better strategy to fix this problem, because we genuinely have a problem. And so until we fix this problem, until we acknowledge that we're not doing what we're probably supposed to be doing, because you said, they said that this promotion was supposed to be for everybody, for it's supposed to encompass everything that the wrestling community wants. And part of the wrestling community is African American, is brown, is every single nation that you could possibly imagine. Okay? And you are not catering to these people. So you're not encompassing at all. And then when you want to show a little something, then you want to pull the rug up under somebody's feet, you know, right when you have momentum, right when you're like, everybody's like, oh my God, oh, this is it. It's not, you know, it's just not. And I don't watch the product enough to fully comment on it. But the little bit that I can say is they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing.